comely too.
Yes, and it was I who had the girl turned out of a job at Millward's. And I'm supposed to be engaged to Gerald. And I'm not a child, don't forget. I've a right to know. Were you in love with her, Gerald?
It's hard to say. I didn't feel about her as she felt about me.
Of course not. You were the wonderful fairy prince. You must have adored it, Gerald.
All right, I did for a time. Nearly any man would have done.
That's probably about the best thing you've said tonight. At least it's honest. Did you go and see her every night?
No, I wasn't telling you a complete lie when I said I'd been very busy at the works all that time. We were very busy. But of course, I did see a good deal of her.
I don't think we want any further details of this disgusting affair.
I do. And anyhow, we haven't had any details yet.
And you're not going to get any. You know, it wasn't disgusting.
It's disgusting to me.
Yes, but after all, you didn't come into this, did you, Mother?
Is there anything else you want to know, that you ought to know?
Yes. When did this affair end?
I can tell you exactly. In the first week of September. I had to go away for several weeks then, on business. By that time, Daisy knew it was coming to an end. So I broke it off definitely before I went.
How did she take it?
Better than I'd hoped. She was very gallant about it.
That was nice for you.
No, it wasn't. She told me she'd been happier than she'd ever been before. But that she knew it couldn't last. Hadn't expected it to last. She didn't blame me at all. I wish to God she had now. Perhaps I'd feel better about it.
She had to move out of those rooms.
Yes, we'd agreed about that. She'd saved a little money during the summer. She'd lived very economically on what I'd allowed her, and didn't want to take any more from me, but I insisted on a parting gift of enough money, though it wasn't so very much, to see her through to the end of the year.
Did she tell you what she proposed to do after you'd left her?
No, she refused to talk about that. I got the idea once or twice from what she said that she thought of leaving Bromley. Whether she did or not, I don't know. Did she?
Yes. She went away for about 2 months to some seaside place.
By herself?
Yes. She went away to be alone and quiet and remember everything that had happened between you.
How do you know that?
She kept some sort of diary, and she said there that she had to go away and be quiet and remember just to make it last longer. She felt that there would never be anything as good again, and so she just had to make it last longer.
I see. Well, I never saw her again. That's all I can tell you.
That's all I want to know from you.
In that case, as I'm rather more upset by this business than I probably appear to be, and, well, I'd like to be alone for a while. I'd be glad if you'd let me go.
Go where? Home?
No, I'll just go out, walk about for a while, if you don't mind. I'll come back.
All right, Mr. Croft.
But in case you forget or decide not to come back, Gerald, I think you better take this with you.
I see. Well, I was expecting this.
I don't dislike you as did half an hour ago, Gerald. In fact, in some strange way, I rather respect you more than I've ever done before. I knew you were lying about those months last year when you hardly came near me, and now at least you've been honest. And I do believe what you told us about the way you helped her at first, just out of pity. And it was my fault, really, that she was so desperate when you first met her. But this has made a difference. You and I aren't the same people who sat down to dinner here. We'd have to start all over again, getting to know each other.
Now, Sheila, I'm not defending him, but you must understand that a lot of young men...
Don't interfere, please, Father. Gerald knows what I mean, and you apparently don't.
Yes, I know what you mean. But I'm coming back, if I may.
All right.
Well, really, I don't know. I think we've just about come to an end of this wretched business.
I don't think so. Excuse me.
You know, you never showed him that photograph of her.
No, it wasn't necessary, and I thought it better not to.
You have a photograph of this girl?
Yes, I think you'd better look at it.
I don't see any particular reason why I should.
Probably not, but you'd better look at it.
Very well.
Mr. Croft, where are you going?
I'm done.
You recognise her?
No? Why should I?
Of course, you might have changed lately, but I can't believe she could have changed so much.
I don't understand you, Inspector.
You mean you don't choose to, Mrs. Burling?
I meant what I said.
You're not telling me the truth.
I beg your pardon.
Look here, I'm not going to have this, Inspector. You'll apologise at once.
Apologise for what? Doing my duty?
No, for being so offensive about it. I'm a public man.
Public men, Mr. Burling, have responsibilities as well as privileges.
Possibly, but you weren't asked to come here to talk to me about my responsibilities.
Let's hope not. Although I am beginning to wonder.
Does that mean anything, Sheila?
It means we've no excuse for putting on airs. And that if we had any sense, we won't try. Father threw this girl out just because she asked for higher wages. I pushed her further out, right into the street, just because I was angry and she was pretty. Gerald set her up as his mistress and then dropped her when it suited him. And now you're pretending you don't recognise this girl. Don't know why you should, but I jolly well know you did in fact recognise her from the way you looked. And if you're not telling the truth, why should the inspector apologise? And can't you both see you're making it worse?
That was the door again.
Gerald must have come back.
Unless your son has just gone out.
I'll see.
Mrs. Burling, you're a prominent member of the Bromley Women's Charity Organisation, aren't you?
Go on, Mother. You might as well admit to it. Yes, she is. Why?
It's an organisation to which women in distress can apply for help in various means. Isn't that so?
Yes. We've done a great deal of useful work in helping deserving cases.
There was a meeting of the interviewing committee 2 weeks ago.
I dare say there was.
You know very well there was, Mrs. Burling. You were in the chair.
And if I was, what business is that of yours?
Do you want me to tell you in plain English?
That must have been Eric.
Have you been up to his room?
Yes, and I called out on both landings. It must have been Eric we heard go out then.
Silly boy, where can he have gone to?
I can't imagine, but he was in one of his excitable queer moods, and even though we don't need him here...
We do need him here, and if he's not back soon, I shall have to go and find him.
He's probably just gone to cool off. He'll be back soon.
I hope so.
And why should you hope so?
I'll explain why when you finished answering my questions, Mrs. Burling.
Is there any reason why my wife should answer questions from you, Inspector?
Yes, a very good one. You'll remember that Mr. Croft told us, quite truthfully I believe, that he hadn't spoken to or seen Eva Smith since last September, and yet Mrs. Burling spoke to and saw her only 2 weeks ago.
Mother!
Is this true?
Yes, quite true.
She appealed to your organisation for help,
Yes.
not as Eva Smith.
No. Nor as Daisy Renton.
As what then?
First, she called herself Mrs. Burling.
Mrs. Burling?
Yes, I think it was simply a piece of gross impertinence, quite deliberate. And naturally, that was one of the things that prejudiced me against her case.
And I should think so, damned impudence.
You admit being prejudiced against her case?
Yes.
Mother, she's just died a horrible death, don't forget.
I'm very sorry, but I think she only had herself to blame.
Was it owing to your influence as the most prominent member of the committee that help was refused the girl?
Possibly.
Was it, or was it not your influence?
Yes, it was. I didn't like her manner. She'd impertinently made use of our name, though she pretended afterwards that it just happened to be the first she thought of. She had to admit, after I began questioning her, that she had no claim to the name, that she wasn't married, and that the story she told at first about a husband who deserted her was quite false. It didn't take long for me to get the truth, or some of the truth, out of her.